Did you know that even our sleep cycle is also affecting our creativity and executive functions and judgments? The sad thing, however, in this generation, maraming mga tao na kulang sa tulog, kulang sa pahinga. Sometimes we also make it a hype and sensationalize that we are a hustle generation, that we are always onto something, being busy, being occupied, having a lot of experiences here and there. But the question is, how creative can we be if we have lesser time of rest? If you observe nature, manonotice mo that nature is always creating something. Every second, every minute of every day, through years and generations, eras and millenniums, nature is always building up onto something. And it's the same thing with people. People are also busy creating, building something. But you notice it's nature, that nature also has a time of rest and recharge, a time of day and a time of night, a time to work or toil and a time to rest. And we can learn something here as humans, as people. Do we also take time to rest? Did you know that even our sleep cycle is also affecting our creativity and executive functions and judgments? The sad thing, however, in this generation, maraming mga tao na kulang sa tulog, kulang sa pahinga. Sometimes we also make it a hype and sensationalize that we are a hustle generation, that we are always onto something, being busy, being occupied, having a lot of experiences here and there. But the question is, how creative can we be if we have lesser time of rest compared to if we take the natural course of things and have a good time of rest and also create something every day? So why are people lacking rest nowadays? Other than because people are being busy right now and always on the go, always wanting everything instant. But this is a lot of factors affecting it. Why people are becoming restless. One is perhaps because of the coming in of blue lights in our gadgets and screens compared to the natural light that we have through daytime exposed at sunlight, and in evening we quiet down or our bodies slow down because of the natural darkness that is surrounding us, and because before people that are using the bulbs which has a warmer light compared to the cool blue light that we have, which actually daw may mga scientific reasons why our eyes like cannot easily adjust with the blue light. So think about that, and as people are being more exposed sa kanilang mga cell phones, laptops, and gadgets with blue light screens, no? Yun, nahihirapan na tayo tuloy matulog. That's just one reason. Second reason I would gather is because nowadays people have like higher ambitions. Like it's good to have ambitions, but sometimes if you just go overboard and also unbounded by limits, sometimes people can throw themselves at a lot of work, but then just consuming and being materialistic and consumerist, but not really allocating or being a good steward of the resources that they have, both in energy, in money, or in other resources. Because there's this verse in the Bible which says in Ecclesiastes 5 verse 12, "Sweet is the sleep of a laborer, whether he eats little or much, but the full stomach of the rich will not let him sleep." Kung mas busog ka, mas hindi ka makatulog na mabuti, sabi niya. But then it is actually talking about, the thoughts that are capturing our mind because of the hustle and bustle that we want to put ourselves into just to have a lot, and store up barns and barns and a lot, But then just being a consumerist, but not really a philanthropist or kind of something like that, like allocating the resources that the Lord has given us in a much more responsible way, but just, getting rich for no reason but consumerism. So that will also not make you sleep. So take note. If you're still not convinced, let's go to Psalm 127, verse 2, where it says, "It is in vain that you rise up early and go late to rest, eating the bread of anxious toil, for he gives to his beloved sleep." So it is God who also graces us and gives us sleep in the evening, not the raising thoughts in our heads. Okay, so I'm not saying that you don't work, you just go to sleep, because that is the work of the idle or lazy person. But it is just going through the natural course of things. As I've said, God created the day to toil and the evening to rest. There's always must be a time of rest. Even God, after his 6 days of creation, also gave a time for rest. This is for an example, not for him, because he is the Lord of Sabbath, or the Lord of rest, but and he is rest in himself. But it is for us, his creative beings, to also recognize rest as a part of our productivity, as a part of our creativity. Have you heard of this study that they made, that of CEOs, or like chief executive officers, or those leaders of big companies? They have tracked the sleep of the CEOs now, and then correlate that with the executive function that they do in the office. If they have a good sleep, then they are almost always alert and able to make good and wise decisions for their company, for the welfare of their people, and they also treat their employees nicely. So but if they also lack, on the other hand, sleep, they become very unstable, and they don't come up with good judgments, and they also are grudging or like they're not a kind and accommodating to their employees. So if you are a person who has some sort of executive function or leadership in your company, in your own business, this might be something that you should be taking note of, that creativity also needs a time of pause, a rest, a time of Selah, as it calls in Psalms. Now let's go to the point of action. How do we get a good night's rest, or a good night's sleep, or have a time of rest or pause and recharge as a creative people? So one that I could just suggest, taking from experience, is that to lessen the exposure to blue light, especially towards evening, if you are to take a time of rest. And second, as I go to bed or to sleep, I try to avoid stimulating ideas or stimulating issues. So I avoid the news. I avoid reading materials that are for brainstorming. So it's more like, if I read a book in the evening, it must be something that is light and that is just a good read. And also, I usually plan out my day for tomorrow in the evening before I sleep, but I realized that will just overstimulate me more, and like organizing things in my mind. So I thought, before I leave work, or I close down on my work before 5 o'clock or before dinner, I usually plan out my day already, the next day already, so that I will not have to think about it as I go to sleep. So as I go to sleep, I just try to breathe in and breathe out, have a good deep breathing, and also to think and picture beautiful things, things that are like that makes me happy and peaceful and harmonious. For those, however, that have sleeping ailments, or like certain conditions that they cannot just sleep, like insomnia or sleep apnea, I'm not a medical consultant, so maybe you have to seek really professional advice, doctor's advice for such cases, so you can be helped out, because sometimes it has to do with hormones and melatonin, this stuff. So it's good to have yourself physically checked also by a doctor on that, and listen to good advice. But as for just normal experience and lessons that I've learned through the years of, like, getting into my creativity mode, and just making it flourish, I realized that a good sleep is really a blessing. It's really a gift. So I realized this too as I claim what is written in the book of Psalms. It's a beautiful verse, and somebody gave it to me before with a gift of a pillow. And this verse is written there in Psalms 4, verse 8. It says, "In peace I will both lie down and sleep. For you alone, O Lord, make me to dwell in safety." Yes, It is in relying that God holds everything together that we can have peace and really have a good rest. And this will recharge us to be more creative the following day after our time of rest. I hope you learned something for today. This is again your host, Christy May, inviting you to check out my webpage at christycreatives.com for creativity, productivity, and advices. And so here I am, inspiring you to live and love the masterpiece that you are.